My friend, if you're a guitar player and you spend some time on YouTube here and there, I'm sure you will have seen countless videos by now clowning on Kirk Hammett, the legendary guitar player of Metallica. This trend started to reach new heights with the release of their most recent album, 72 Seasons, with people calling out the guitar solos on this record, saying that they're not exactly well put together, kind of too spontaneous, and that there has been a steady decline in quality when it comes to the guitar solo work. For me personally, that's a very difficult topic to even talk about because I'm a super Metallica fanboy. That's the band that actually got me into guitar playing. James's riffs were the reason why I picked up an instrument in the start. I wanted to play epic riffs like Battery or Blackened, but then my obsession with guitar solos started once I started to look into the solos on the early records, which is what I want to show you in 1 second. Just quickly before that, my 2 cents when it comes to this whole controversy. I personally also wish Kirk would go back to composing the guitar solos, and for me personally this has nothing to do with making them super technical or progressive or very fast like what he did on the earlier records. Some of his most iconic and memorable solos were actually featured on the Black album, for example, and there are even some standout moments on Load and Reload. I recently revisited those records and they're definitely not as bad as people make them out to be. Concerning the most recent record, there's actually also a part I really enjoy towards the end of the final song, their longest song ever, which is kind of reminiscent of Fade to Black a little bit. So I definitely know that he's still got it, and I really hope he will show that to all of us with the next record. But what I want to talk to you about specifically today is one of my personal favorite guitar solos. This one's from the 80s, and a while back I posted a clip of me playing that solo, my version so to say, and it's a little bit faster than the original. Check it out. So the solo I would like to dissect a little bit today is the one from Creeping Death, and we're not even gonna go through the whole guitar solo. In this video I want to focus on the epic picking part at the start, and I want to show you how I got it to this absolutely crazy speed and why it's one of the absolute best workouts ever when it comes to synchronizing your hands. Alright, as you can see in here, I like to play this one a little bit faster than the original tempo. And this is one of those iconic alternate picking parts that every single rock or metal guitar player should be able to play, because there are tons of benefits that come from mastering this very practical, awesome sounding line. Now here's how I got this to this absolutely crazy tempo. It's by using a simple system called chunking. That simply means I'm dissecting licks like this into smaller chunks when I'm practicing before putting it all together. So for today's first exercise, let's check out chunk number 1. Alright, so I started speeding this up and internalizing this by just working with the first challenge, which is an alternate picking run mainly played on the B string, but with one note right here on the E string in 2 different shapes or patterns. That's the first pattern. And that's the second one. Good news, we're just moving the same pattern up a whole tone or 2 frets. So for the first exercise, I'm just playing that first pattern twice in one measure, and then I'm playing the second pattern twice in the next measure. So looks simple enough, but this is actually quite hard already, because with that note on the high E string, which is always played with an upstroke in both patterns, I first have to escape from in between the G and B strings with the last downstroke on the B string. Then for that upstroke on the E string, I don't want to get trapped between the B and E strings with my pick. So this is already a great part to internalize that fluid string switching movement that you need. You need to rotate your wrist just a little bit in order to play this fast. Let me show you how that looks like from this angle. So for the first 3 notes, especially for that last note, I want that kind of picking angle where the tip of the pick is pointing away from the guitar. It should not look like this, it should look like that. So it's pointing in this direction. Then it's turning around like this for the note on the high E string. So now it's not looking like this anymore, it's looking like this. The tip of the pick is facing upwards. And with this small transition that gets really, really small as soon as I speed things up, I'm not getting stuck in between the strings. So this is a great way of practicing string transitioning at fast speeds. And once I worked on chunking the riff like that for a while, I moved on to the second chunking exercise, which is combining those 2 patterns. Check out how cool that one sounds like already. By the way, my friend, all of the exercises I'm showing you in today's video are part of the brand new Practical Solo package. This new exercise package and series is all about taking iconic guitar solo parts that are actually great technical exercises, so that you're not just working on chromatic, boring sounding exercises. And this week's practice package from my Guitar Academy on Patreon comes with slow and fast play-along videos of the 5 awesome chunking exercises I will show you. Of course, you also get guitar profiles, backing tracks and tabs. And if you join my Patreon Academy today, you also get access to my premium guitar technique courses, my music theory courses, and even my home recording courses. So let's take your guitar playing to a professional world-class level in the shortest amount of time possible. Just click the link in the description down below, patreon.com/burned, and get started with the brand new exercise package right now. Alright, now for that second chunking exercise, I'm simply combining those two patterns. You once again really want to pay attention to the string transitioning, but also to fluidly connecting those two patterns. So you don't want it to sound like this. In the best possible case, there should be no noticeable difference, and the listener is not supposed to hear that you're switching between two different shapes. Once again, here's how the picking technique looks like from this angle. So it gets harder to spot this kind of rotating movement, but I can definitely feel it when I'm playing. And of course it has to be quite small in order to play this very fast. And the next chunking exercise is going to be great for your hand synchronization. Check out this one. Similar to what I did for the first chunking exercise, I'm separating those two individual patterns. So first I'm playing the pattern where I have all notes on one string. I'm just playing on the B string for this one. And then I'm following it with the pattern where I have to transition between two strings. Once again, this chunking method is really helping you with internalizing both patterns before you put them together already. This is a big mistake that most guitar players make, working on really big exercises that cover the entire fretboard with no rest in there. First, you need to nail every single aspect of the exercise. And the first thing you need to nail is the hand synchronization with this first pattern. What I mean with that is that you want to play triplets right here. So especially when you speed it up, you don't just want to go as fast as you can and kind of mimic the picking hand movement somehow with your fretting hand. That's how most guitar players do it, but it sounds much more clean if every single stroke perfectly matches your fretting hand and you really focus on playing triplets. And then once again, for the second phrase, you want to make sure to focus on that transitioning part. So the last note on the B string is a downstroke. So for that second part, going for a picking angle like this will help you out a lot. This will not help you out, because your pick has to escape from in between the strings after a downstroke on the B string. And that's the picking angle that will really help you with that. And you guessed it, for the next chunking exercise, it's finally time to put those two together. Let's see what that sounds like. Alright, this might be the trickiest part of the entire lick, so make sure to work on this exercise before you attempt the entire lick. Once again, you really want to make sure to connect the notes and phrases fluidly, so you don't want it to sound like this. I think phrases like this sound the coolest and especially the cleanest when you try to avoid piecing the individual sections and patterns together like this and you focus on a fluid stream of notes. So when it comes to the picking angle, I can choose this one for this entire second part because there's only one string transition at the end. So that works pretty well. And only when I worked on every single chunking exercise that I just showed you, speeding them up gradually, always pushing beyond my comfort zone with every single chunk, I pieced them together just like this. So this is not only a super cool practical solo run of one of the most iconic guitar solos, it's a perfect hand synchronization and string transitioning exercise. And this is a lick that every aspiring technical guitar player should be able to master. Alright my friend, if you want to learn how to play this iconic, super important alternate picking section at absolutely crazy speeds like this, download this week's practice package on Patreon, because I made the exact same practice files for you that I worked with when I was training to play this solo super fast. So if you're consistent with those practice files, you will work on the exact same exercises that I worked on, and I'm sure you will get amazing results doing that. So join my Guitar Academy on Patreon today. The link is down below in the description or in the first comment, patreon.com/burn. I'm waiting for you inside my online Guitar Academy. Have an amazing day. Bye bye.